Yeah, Baza YouTube. What's up? How's it going, everybody? Do you guys ever have those days where you just kind of feel out of it, like you're not really there 100%? That's what I feel like today is for me. I'm not sure why. Like, I woke up early and yeah, I don't know. This was a pretty good Ubers battle though. If you guys enjoyed this, hit that like button down below. I know I've been uploading a lot of Ubers as of lately. I have one more Ubers Wi-Fi battle, then I'll probably take a little break from uploading Wi-Fi battles in the Ubers tier. I'll still do Ubers Showdown lives for those of you who do enjoy those. But this match was against Argon. His channel link and stuff will be down below if you guys want to go check him out. Question of the day was, of course, at the beginning of the video. Will also be at the end of this match if you guys do want to go ahead and answer that. So this first little portion is going to be extremely sped up because typically when you see, just assume anytime you see a Slurpuff in the Ubers tier that it's going to be a sticky web based lead. So that's exactly what I expected from him, and I believe I'm using the same team I used in my upload from was it yesterday or the day before, my previous Ubers battle. Essentially this is the last Ubers battle I had with this team. The other Ubers battle I had, which was really good as well, is with a different team. So yeah, don't worry, you guys are going to see this team again most likely. So the cool thing about this team that my boy Jordy passed me is that it actually has Defog Yveltal, which is really nice because thanks to Toxic and Defog, I could potentially try to prevent this Slurpuff from getting up its sticky webs, and if I can stop Slurpuff from getting up webs, then that's going to be really great for me in this match, which means all the rest of my team essentially will not be at -1 speed whenever they come in, and that alone is actually really huge because webs would have been a humongous problem to my Geomancy Xerneas and my Mega Mewtwo X in the back. Oh well, Giratina is not affected by webs, but the rest of my team besides Giratina and Yveltal would have had a humongous issue if webs had stayed up here. So I'm going to try my best to just prevent these sticky webs from being set up, and if I lose my Yveltal, then that's fine with me. It shouldn't be too big of an issue, and luckily I do prevent webs from being set up, although it is going to be a double down. But again, I don't have to worry about webs later in this match. So he's going to end up bringing in the Yveltal here, which is honestly something I completely overlooked at the team preview, because Dreadplate Yveltal is actually very, very terrifying for this team to switch into. So expecting him just to go for either the Dark Pulse or the Oblivion Wing, I'm going to make a direct switch here into my physically defensive Z Geomancy Xerneas, because honestly this is my only like real switching to this monster that is Yveltal. Plus Xerneas isn't going to be doing entirely too much in this match because of Dustmane Necrozma in the back and the fact that he does have this Primal Groudon. Now this is a more offensive variant of Primal Groudon, but it still resists Moonblast, which is the only offensive move typically on Z Geomancy Xerneas anyways. So he does make a really good play there. He's going to U-turn out knowing that I wouldn't want to stay, and I'll most likely switch into the Arceus type that I had in the back that he doesn't know is actually Arceus Water, or that I would bring into my Xerneas here. So he does switch directly into his Primal Groudon here as he goes for the Eruption. And somebody left a comment asking if there was ever any battles without Primal Groudon in Ubers. Essentially, Primal Groudon in Ubers is like Landorus T in OU, where if Primal Groudon left Ubers, then the tier would like probably fall apart. Just like if Landorus ever got banned from OU, the tier would fall apart. So yeah, just assume that anytime there's an Ubers match, it's going to be Primal Groudon and 5 other Pokemon on a team. That's not to say that you can't make successful Ubers teams without Primal Groudon. Like, you can make really good OU teams without Landorus, just as you can make good Ubers teams without Primal Groudon. But I'm just saying that Primal Groudon fits that role that you just about need it to fit always, and it can really be versatile, honestly. So yeah, I ended up going for the Shadow Force here as he makes a good switch into his Yveltal on this turn, and this is the instance where I kind of wish that I had Toxic or Thunder Wave instead of Will-O-Wisp, because I definitely would have gone for one of those two statin moves instead of going for the Shadow Force there. So he ends up taunting me on the switch to my Xerneas here, which is fine. It's not really that big of an issue. This could allow me to potentially go for the Moonblast just to get off a little bit of chip damage on the Primal Groudon as it switches in, or I can double out here expecting him to switch out, because typically you don't want to leave in a Yveltal on a Xerneas in the first place. So I do double out here into my Arceus Water, as I will be able to go for the Ice Beam, just trying to chip down this Primal Groudon so it won't be able to just freely come in and click Eruption in the sun, which is actually absolutely terrifying to deal with. So I ended up going for the Toxic here on the off chance that maybe he wanted to switch out. Plus, in the long run, Toxic is probably going to be more beneficial to me than just going for another Ice Beam against this Groudon. This way I can now put it on a timer. Every time it switches in and out and it's forced to stay in, it'll be taking that extra little bit of chip damage over time. So Precipice Blade ends up doing a really solid chunk of damage to me, actually way more than I was expecting. So I'm going to be forced to go for the recover here. If it really came down to it, I was perfectly fine with staying in here and constantly spamming recover until he either missed or he got taken out by the toxic damage. As in comes the Yveltal. Unfortunately, my Ice Beam is not quite strong enough to finish off Yveltal here, and he's going to make a good play. Goes for the U-turn, again most likely thinking that I would want to switch into my Xerneas, as in comes his own Xerneas. The way he brought this in is automatically telling me that he's either going to want to go straight for an offensive move or most likely go for the Geomancy. So what I'm going to do is actually just go straight for the Toxic. This way I can kind of wear him down a little bit and hopefully put him in range of where my Groudon can come in and possibly revenge kill him, because I do have Spadef, Bulky, Primal Groudon on this team. So getting that Toxic off on the Xerneas is really huge, as he does go for the Geomancy, and because of the Power Herb, he's going to get his stat boost automatically. So this thing is looking kind of terrifying. I honestly do not want to switch into my Primal Groudon because a +2 Xerneas is absurdly strong. Like, Groudon is really good in Ubers, but Xerneas is terrifying as well. So yeah, there's not really much that safely switches into a +2 especially offensive Xerneas. So he ends up knocking out my Giratina there, as I will be able to now bring in my Primal Groudon here, because again I am specially defensive. There is no way that this Xerneas will be able to knock me out with any one hit, even if he does end up having the Hidden Power Ground, which is not something I've seen too often on Xerneas, but it is a very viable Hidden Power to run on Xerneas regardless. So either way, I should be in a pretty okay spot for my Groudon to at least be able to knock out this Xerneas. I was hoping that it may not be a double down. What I really wanted to do was actually go for the Precipice Blade, and then the next turn try to get out my Stealth Rocks. That way, even if my Groudon got out of this exchange at very, very low HP, I would still have the Rocks up to be able to do that little bit of extra chip damage to the rest of his team. But he just barely hangs on there with like 5, maybe 6% HP. And my boy Groudon unfortunately is going to be taken out here. I did actually try to go for the Rocks this turn on the off chance that if maybe he got an absolute minimum roll, I could have lived, but I think he would have knocked me out anyway. So yeah, it does kind of suck that I have to lose my Groudon here to take down his Xerneas, but that is now one less sweeper in the back that my team has to now worry about. As in comes the Yveltal, I do end up bringing in my Arceus here, completely expecting either the Yveltal or potentially his Mewtwo. If he brought in the Mewtwo, I could have gone potentially straight for the Toxic or just got off some damage with the Judgment. But because he did bring in the Yveltal, I really have no reason to not just Ice Beam here. Even if he wants to bring in the Groudon, it's already Toxic, then it's going to be taking Ice Beam damage and the Toxic damage, and I can consistently recover against it until it drops to Toxic, or he misses the Precipice Blade and I can pick him off with the Ice Beam. As in comes the Mewtwo here. I make another really questionable play here. I honestly expected him to just go straight for the offensive move, but at the same time, he really lost nothing in going for the Calm Mind here. Like, there's not really much that I have in the back that can deal with a +1. Especially offensive Mega Mewtwo Y, so I shouldn't have Judgmented here. I should have definitely gone for the Toxic. Luckily, in the long run of the match, it doesn't really matter, but the correct play here would have been to go for Toxic, then potentially go for the Judgment, or recover, just gauging to see how much damage a Psy Strike would have done to me. And yeah, there was no way I was going to recover out of range of that Psy Strike being able to avoid a 2-hit KO against me. Essentially, I just would have been 2-hit KO'd either way if I did recover there or not. So yeah, in this instance, I would have had an extra turn of Toxic on him, and then I would have hit him with the Judgment this turn. So after he knocked me out this turn, he would have had 3 turns of Toxic damage on him as opposed to 2 turns. So he does end up knocking me out here, and what this allows me to do is go ahead and bring in my own Mewtwo, which is actually Mega Mewtwo X. So I don't want to risk Mega Evolving here because I believe staying in my base form is a lot better, just on the off chance that he does try to go for a Side Strike to hit me on the physically defensive side. Plus, I should be able to live any one hit this thing wants to go for, and as long as I didn't miss Stone Edge here, I should have been able to put him in a range of where Toxic would have knocked him out anyway. So yeah, that's where I said me misplaying there, going for Judgment as opposed to Toxic turn 1, really didn't matter too much. So down goes the Mewtwo Y, as in comes the Primal Groudon here. Thankfully, this Mega Mewtwo X does actually have the low kick, which does a huge amount of damage to the Primal Groudon. So if anything, I'm hoping that I can knock him down into range where Toxic will be able to knock him out. That way it will be a double down. So I do end up going for the low kick here, but Primal Groudon just eats the hit. But Argon actually goes for the Eruption, probably not wanting to risk missing the Precipice Blade. As this turn, I know this seems like an odd play, but my thought process was that I do not want to have my Mewtwo X in against his last Pokemon, which is Necrozma, because then he can Sword Dance, then Ultra Burst, and then he'll be able to pop the Z move on my Xerneas. This way, by going for the bulk up, I can make it a double down, and my Xerneas does possibly have a chance to beat his Necrozma 1v1, because the Necrozma on the team that Argon is running does not have a Steel Stab move, because it's a team I've used myself in a Showdown Live. Although we had this match before, I did the live actually, but either way, I am going to go ahead, try and take this opportunity to go for the Z Geomancy. Again, Z Geomancy boosts all of your stats +1, and then on that second turn is when you gain the +2 special attack, special defense, and speed boost. So essentially you get up to +3 special attack, special defense, and speed, and then you're at +1 defense and attack, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive that's how Z Geomancy works. So I will be able to gain my boost here, and because I did get the initial speed boost, I will be able to outspeed him this turn and gain my boost once more. So even if he does try to Ultra Burst here, that would actually be the worst play for him to make, because Ultra Necrozma is part Dragon. In this form of Necrozma, though, he is still a Steel type, and there was a chance that I could actually live a +2 Photon Geyser at my +1 defense. So I'm gonna go for the Moonblast here, doing a solid amount of damage, but because he got a really good roll with that first Photon Geyser, I'm actually directly in range of where even if he had got absolute minimum damage, he would have knocked me out. So yeah, the match really just came down to those Photon Geyser rolls, but all in all, it was still just a really fun, really awesome battle. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to hit that like button down below and answer the comment question of the day. With that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. Later, everybody.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends. It's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6-foot hacks. 6 foot hacks. Yeah. 6 foot hacks. 6 foot